Okay, Jake Rowan, back again. Tattooed for years under the name Crazy Jake. I was in the NTA for, oh gosh, 15 years or so, I think. I was one of the earlier members of the Alliance of Professional Tattooists, which kind of actually bothered a couple of the old-time guys that I knew. They really thought that the APT was going to draw too much attention to tattooing, but you know, I think the cat was already out of the bag at that time, and you know, some of the regulations and whatnot that came through because of the APT were a lot more sensible than some of the stuff that the states normally would have adopted on their own. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to talk politics. The old-time guys had a great perspective. I mentioned that I met a couple of them early on. I was really lucky in meeting Coney Island Joe. And I guess we might as well talk about a machine or two. So here we have this one. I call this the Coney Island Jonesy. It was a certain gentleman's liner for years. He was good enough to make me a really sweet deal on it. I use this on special occasions now. It's a really great running old Jonesy. You cannot fault these things. They're probably some of the best machines ever designed, I think. I have a couple other old weirdos here. This is one from Chancey, Dominic Chance. I got this when I was working with his son up in New Hope very briefly. There was a gentleman working there named Brian Ulrich who built, set up, and tuned this machine. This is one of very, very, very few machines that I ever purchased that I could actually sit down and tattoo with without any adjustments whatsoever. Now I have an old-timer from some other old-timer that qualifies there too. Whoops. And here we have what is rumored to be a Zeiss, potentially made by Waters. If you look at it, you'll be able to see right here and right here are the spots where the two binding posts were originally attached across from each other, like the old Charlie Wagner machines that were made by Waters. That's a sweet running liner. This is a bit of a mystery machine. I was turned on to this by an old Carney tattooer named Tattoo Tiny. He was a good old guy, retired West Coast character. This was made, I believe, by either Tats Taylor or Tattoo Tux from Baltimore. My memory fails me, but he mentioned it was one of the two. I believe, I forget. This is reputed to be about a 1923 Percy Waters machine that was obviously ridden hard and put away wet. Vegas Mike turned me onto this frame after we started working together. I built it up, turned it into a pretty happening little single coil liner. I mean a single needle liner. You could call it my tribute to the old early 45 Harleys. It's got a huge capacitor on here, so it's kind of like a 3-cylinder too. The Indian guys will get that. And this is just an old frame that has some rather unique electrical properties. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is. The coils, etc., and some of the parts in it, potentially the frame, I'm not really sure, were supposedly from around World War II, but I don't want to sell snake oil. But I will tell you, when you plug this thing in, before I added the cap on it, in a dark room, it'll shoot a spark about 3/4 of an inch. We referred to it as the blue flame. I used to use it to scare nervous virgins. It was beautiful. Oh, and I just kicked the camera. Ah, whip me, beat me. Well, no, not like unless you're cute. Give me a second here. We'll dig out a couple more. And this here is my absolute no-fooling first ever tattoo machine that I owned. It's one of a pair of Spalding Pumas that I bought after I worked with Tony for a while. When I worked with him, he had the machines, and he made sure it stayed that way. Smart man. What else is special? Okay, here's a Tony the Pirate frame. I got off Tony's father in 1994. Picked it up in the little machine shop behind his tattoo shop. Darn good runner. It's got a set of Spalding coils in it, because I must admit I stole the coils out of this machine to put in one of my own construction, because the coils just work so darn good. Which will bring us to the very first machine that I ever built, constructed everything myself. The frame was machined out of a solid block of cold rolled steel by a machinist buddy of mine. I wanted something very similar to a Sailor Jerry Bulldog, but a little beefier. I like a heavy machine. That was Mastiff number 1. This is Mastiff number 2, the second one. There's a set of Jerry Rieger coils in this one. That's my liner, my main good size liner. And this is number 3. Unfortunately, the tube vise in this one fractured, so I put on this tube vise that my buddy, the machinist friend, also had built some of for me. It's a pretty happening collar packer. I like a good, strong, solid, smooth running machine that'll hit powerful yet smooth and controllable. And this here is one of the first 2 National Deluxe kits that I bought after I started realizing that Spalding machines and I didn't really get along all that well together. And I got this one, and it was just wow. Yeah, this was my Jonesy until I could actually find a Jonesy. Still like it, still use it as often as I get a chance, which isn't as often as I'd like, but I hope to change that in the near future. Okay, those are some machines. Had a lot of fun in inking. It was a good experience. Vegas Mike was a great guy to work with. Rest in peace, brother. He is no longer with us. But we had a lot of fun. Tattooed a lot of people across from the counter from each other. Funniest thing I remember is, or one of the funny things I remember, is the first time somebody ever passed out on me. Mike's over on that side of the counter. I'm over on this side of the counter working on this guy's arm. La-di-da-di-da, you know. Working along, all of a sudden I noticed he started to feel kind of cold and clammy. I looked up just as his eyes rolled up in his head, and it just goes and flops. I grabbed his arm. I'm holding him up by the armrest, and I look over and I said, "Hey, bro, I think I killed one." And Mike started laughing like crazy and just said, "Ah, it's all right. He just passed out. Let him fall." I kept him in the chair. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. The most spectacular pass out was this girl that I know, sadly. She said she was feeling a little bit lightheaded. Guys, when somebody says they need to go to the bathroom, watch them on their way to the bathroom if you're tattooing them. This chick got to the back wall of the shop, and we had a heavy security steel door with big bars across it and whatnot. This chick is walking into the bathroom, passes out, fell down, hit her head on the 2 bars, the steel door, the wall, the floor, and the heater, and it sounded like the drum solo from a Grateful Dead concert in the 1970s. She was fine. Everybody was happy. She didn't even remember passing out. When she woke up, she was sitting in the chair. Damp. But that's another story.